Good evening, everybody. Jeffrey Harris. We are streaming live on Google Hangouts through YouTube. We have Jay Snook on the other end doing some cool stuff. He's wearing a cool Spider-Man shirt.
Yeah, guys,
Jay, how are you?
Actually, I'm doing pretty good. I'm still a little sick, but I'll survive.
I think this is our second show since we got back from San Diego. Are you fully recovered from the Comic-Con experience?
Yeah, just getting back in the swing of things,
Are you ready? Are you ready to go back next year now that you're over the Comic-Con withdrawal?
Yeah, I'll go back.
Okay. All right. So today we're going to start off the show with the Mission Impossible Fallout spoiler cast. Movie's one of the best reviewed movies of the year. Was still #1 at the box office this weekend. We didn't get to do it last week, so we wanted to go ahead and do it for this show. So we're going to do, so basically this is our spoiler cast format. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, what do we like to do, Jay?
Earmuffs, cover your ears, or just mute it until this part's done.
Unless you've seen the movie, then you're all good. And then you can go watch the movie. If you haven't seen it yet, watch it, and then come back and then listen to the show. Right, Jay?
Yes, correct.
All right. So this is Mission Impossible Fallout. This is the 6th movie in the Mission Impossible film series that started. Do you know when the first movie came out, Jay? In the series?
96.
1996. So that was 20. Think about that. 22 years ago.
I just guessed.
Was the first movie. Can you imagine? I mean, can you imagine that? We're 6 movies in, and it's been 22 years.
Well, this is one of those series of memory serves me that's had its ups and downs, because I think I saw one. I don't think I saw 2 or 3 or 4, but I heard it got better at 4.
It did. It did. It very much did.
I did see 5, though. I did see 5.
So
Rogue Nation, I think.
So you missed out. So you're saying you missed out on the 2nd and 3rd films?
If I saw them, I don't remember much about them. But to be fair, I don't remember much about the first one.
Well, the second one the first one did come out 22 years ago.
Yeah.
The first one, first one came out 22. The second one came out 18. And the third one was in 2006. So,
yeah.
This franchise has some miles in it, but I can't think of many franchises that have gotten better, that have been around this long, that have gotten better as they keep going. Maybe Marvel is an exception.
Yeah.
But then another franchise that I thought got better as it went along was Jason Bourne. Have you seen any of the Jason Bourne films?
I disagree with the last one. The first.
No. I mean, until Jason Bourne, the 5th.
Yeah, I can agree with that. 2 and 3 were good. I didn't see the 4th one, but I heard it was atrocious.
The 4th one was terrible. And the 5th one was mediocre. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it was. The 5th one was. But what's gotten better, I think, over time is actually the DC animated movies. Those have gotten better over time.
But those are direct-to-video animated films.
Still though, it's been going on for like 10 years. Over that, I think.
Yeah, but but they only started enforcing a continuity for those like very recently. The earliest ones were not really connected to each other at all. Because remember, they did this. The Death of Superman was the first one in I think 2007.
Well, it was called Superman Doomsday.
Superman Doomsday, but it was the death. It was the Doomsday and Death of Superman.
Yeah.
All in one movie. It was the Death and Return of Superman, all in one movie.
Yeah.
And it has nothing. It has nothing to do with the one that just came out.
Yeah, which we'll talk about that too, because that embargo is lifted.
But
later.
This movie's at 98% right now. Would you say the reviews for this film are warranted?
No.
For Mission Impossible?
Look, here's the thing about Mission Impossible for me.
Okay.
It starts off really strong, but like toward the end, it gets painfully predictable.
Okay, so of the Mission Impossible films in this franchise you've seen, the ones with Tom Cruise, what do you think is the best one?
I really liked Rogue Nation. That one really surprised me. I like that one a lot.
So the 4th one.
No,
excuse me, the 5th one. The 5th one in 2015, and the one in 2011, directed by Brad Bird, was Ghost Protocol. That was the 4th.
I didn't see that one, but Rogue Nation I liked a lot. That one was
okay. So this was not better for you. This was not better than Rogue Nation at all.
No, it started off really good, but like I said, in like it just like it starts off really good. You're not sure what's going on, what's happening, and there's some new threat going on, and the whole thing with the what was it, the plutonium, that was really cool.
Right.
But once they reveal who the villain is, you're like, oh yeah, I kind of saw that coming. And after that, to me, it just kind of got silly action flick of doing stuff where it never would actually work.
Are you taken by surprise that this film is getting such good reviews?
A little bit. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. I didn't hate it, but you know that predictability towards the end kind of like, you know, hurt it for me for a bit. Like I wouldn't give it 98%. I'd probably give it maybe like 75 or 80, but I wouldn't.
Okay, so not better than Ant-Man and the Wasp, maybe.
No.
Okay, and not better than Infinity War.
No, Infinity War was better.
All right, but maybe better than Christopher Robin.
I don't know if I'd say that either.
Wow. Well, you know what? That's interesting that you feel that way. I think that'll make for a very interesting review spoiler cast for us, don't you think?
Mm-hmm, I do.
Okay. All right. So let's get started. So this movie, it's the second Mission Impossible film to be written and directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who directed Rogue Nation. Mm-hmm. So he and Tom Cruise are back for this one. Mm-hmm. So we kind of start off. Now, what was interesting is they started this film off with a dream sequence where Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise, he's having like this dream, and he dreams about Michelle Monaghan, who was his wife before in the series. Now, since you didn't see the third movie, this character is important, Jay, because this character is Julia, who Ethan married in the third film. This is back in 2006. So he married a character named Julia, and then they kind of split up because his life as a spy was just too dangerous. So they had to stay. Basically, they had to stay apart. So he's having this weird dream. And in the dream is Solomon Lane, who was the bad guy in Rogue Nation. And so it starts off with Ethan having this premonition. Now, this is one thing I really like, because this was the first time they did sort of a dream sequence. So this was sort of a new device that we hadn't seen in the film before. How did that sequence work for you? What did you think?
I thought it wasn't bad. It was kind of interesting. I thought it was I didn't have anything wrong with it. You know, I may not have fully understood it, but I liked it. I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Right. I like Michelle Monaghan a lot. I think she's a really underrated actress. So I was very happy her character came back for this film. And then Ethan gets his mission. He's in Belfast, Ireland, and very interestingly enough, when he gets his the little device where he gets the trademark "Your mission if you choose to accept it." It's in a book. And what was the book, Jay? Do you remember? It was Homer's The Odyssey. How do you like that? How do you like that for foreshadowing and subtle allusions?
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I liked it.
I mean, you get the meaning of, Ethan Hunt, the hero, getting this kind of book, The Odyssey. You know what The Odyssey is, right?
Yeah, I'm
Homer's The Odyssey.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that book.
All right, so I thought that was sort of clever that they threw that in at the beginning of the movie. So basically, Ethan and the IMF are going after what's left of the syndicate from the last film. So even though Solomon Lane was taken into custody, his minions, the Apostles, are out there, and they're trying to get their hands on some plutonium to put in working nuclear devices that could be launched all over the world. So they're trying to put a stop to that. So the mission starts. They're doing sort of this deal to get the plutonium cores. It all goes bad when they're cornered by the Apostles, and Ethan basically gives up the plutonium to rescue his friend Luther Stickwell, played by Ving Rhames, who has been in, other than Tom Cruise, he has been in every one of these movies. So how'd you like seeing Ving Rhames back as Luther?
It was good, because Ving Rhames, was a good kind of, I really liked him in the last one, so it was nice to see him back in this one.
And also, the other returning character is Benji Dunn, played by Simon Pegg, who's always amazing. And Benji started in the franchise in the third movie, and he's been in every film ever since. So, how do you like Simon Pegg being back as Benji?
It's good, because he provides a little bit of comic relief here and there, but not too much. It's not overhaul, so I enjoy that. It was good to see him again.
So we have this sort of tense start where they lose the plutonium, and then they take an engineer for the apostles into custody. And I really like this scene, by the way. So they have this guy in custody in the hospital, and they're trying to unlock his phone, right? For because he's been corresponding with this basically rogue agent for the apostles called John Lark, who wrote this manifesto about how you have to sort of create great suffering to make a great peace. And so they're telling this guy, if we get them to read the manifesto on the news, will you unlock this phone? So they have Wolf Blitzer, CNN on the TV. They make a phone call, and they have the manifesto being read, the terrorist manifesto, because because it looks like on the news that all these nuclear bombs have gone off all over the world. And then they reveal it was all just a ruse. It was just like a big set, and it was Simon Pegg in disguise as Wolf Blitzer. They did actually. I like that they used Wolf Blitzer in the actual scene, but he then rips off the mask, and it's Benji, Simon Pegg. This was one of my favorite scenes in the movie because this is actually a callback. Since you don't remember, this is a callback to the opening scene for the first movie in 1996. Basically, a similar device that they were calling back to. So, how did you like that reveal?
Yeah, I remember that with LL Cool J. I remember that. Yeah.
No, that's Charlie's Angels, not LL Cool J.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, I like that. I thought it was a really cool little twist. You're like, oh, nice what they did there. So it was a good scene. I enjoyed it.
Well, did you like the Wolf Blitzer cameo?
Yeah, that was cool. That was kind of cool how they did that. How they worked that out. I liked it. Yeah.
So then we get titles. We get the Mission Impossible theme. So basically, they tricked this engineer into thinking the bombs were set off. They have not yet. So basically, the plutonium cores are in the field, and they're trying to track them down to keep them from getting attached to nuclear devices and being set off by the apostles and this mysterious rogue agent called John Lark. So then Ethan has to leave. Basically, he's leaving Berlin, Germany, and he's about to go on his next mission to track down this John Lark and one of his contacts, who is Vanessa Kirby as the White Widow, Alana. Interesting. So he has to go on a mission, and according to Erica Sloan, played by Angela Bassett, tells the head of the IMF, who is Alan Hunley, played by Alec Baldwin, you have to bring my guy, August Walker, or no go. So now Ethan is forced to work with August Walker, who's basically a CIA hitman, and of course they don't get along. So August Walker is portrayed by Henry Cavill. Who is Henry Cavill, Jay? What do we know him from?
Superman is a big one.
Superman from the DC films. He's playing Ethan Hunt's CIA rival in this film. How did you like his casting as August Walker?
Good casting as August Walker. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, but it was a little weird at the same time because he did some things that at the time didn't make sense. Like, wait, why did he do this or why did he do that? But it makes sense as it goes along. So it wasn't a bad casting, but I don't know if it was the best casting either, to be honest.
What did you? His accent sounds a little weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Were you convinced by his American accent? Because I wasn't.
No.
Didn't sound. It sounded a little forced, but right after that, so they're going into what city were Paris. They were flying into Paris from Germany, and they're doing it on the Halo jump. So that was another signature sequence for this film. How did you like that Halo jump scene? I thought that looked breathtaking.
That was kind of cool. I enjoyed it.
Is that it? Is that all you have to? Like Tom Cruise did an actual Halo jump for that scene.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
That doesn't impress you at all?
I actually am impressed.
He's 56 years old doing all this.
Yeah, that's impressive. I didn't think he actually did that, but yeah, that is pretty impressive.
The other thing I really liked about that scene is that when they jump out of the plane, like it's all one shot. It's one continuous shot until they hit the ground, basically.
Wow, that is impressive.
I mean, I don't know if that was my favorite scene in the movie, but it was. There was a lot. I like that Christopher McQuarrie, as a filmmaker, will do. he does a lot of creative stuff with his sequences. Great staging, and that whole Halo jump sequence, it's done in one continuous shot or take. It looked amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty impressive.
So then they get down to the ground. So they're trying to infiltrate this, this party, this club, to get to the White Widow and find John Lark. They find an agent who they believe is John Lark, and they get into this big fight with him. That was a good fight. Did that fight work for you when they're fighting that guy in the bathroom?
It starts off good, but it got a little silly toward the end. But it started off.
Was it too long? Was it too long? Maybe.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it could have been a little bit shorter. I mean,
why did that scene not work for you?
I just remember it it got sillier as it went along, and it kind of gets so silly where it's like,
okay, so like when they're locked in the bathroom and they're trying to, the guy's unconscious and they're trying to scan his face, and then all these guys guys from the party come in and they're like, oh, some guys are fooling around in there having sex. Did that bother you?
No, what bothered me was when the freaking thing breaks because he hits him over the head with it.
The mask.
Like, well, now what the hell do I do?
The mask printer.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
I don't know.
Why do you think that was stupid?
It just was like, you're like, well, good job, you just screwed them. So now what they're gonna do? So
I mean, it was sort of humorous though, because then
that scene had some good moments.
But the key to action movies is you have to kind of keep putting obstacles in front of the heroes, you know?
Yeah, I think it was good, but it went on a little too long.
Too long. Okay. So then it ends with Ilsa Faust from the last movie showing up. She shoots this bad guy in the face, who they think is John Lark. So then Ethan decides to go to the party and poses as John Lark to make contact with the White Widow, who's basically an arms dealer. Right. And he convinces her to leave and saves her life because there were assassins there that were apparently trying to kill John Lark. So now they think Ethan Hunt is John Lark, and the White Widow thinks that Ethan Hunt is John Lark. One aside, Vanessa Kirby's character, the White Widow, has another connection to the original film. She is the daughter of Max from the 1996 movie, who I believe was played by Vanessa. I want to say Vanessa Redgrave. Yeah, Vanessa Redgrave played Max in the original 1996 film.
Nice.
So this character, the White Widow, is her daughter.
Nice.
So that's another interesting connection we have here. So now Ethan and Walker have made contact with this arms dealer, and the arms dealer is trying to facilitate an operation to free Solomon Lane from the last movie from captivity. And they want to do it by attacking a police convoy, killing all the police, and then taking John Lark. Of course, Ethan is very morally righteous and upright, so he does not want to kill everyone, but he can't let that show to the bad guys, or White Widow and her cronies. So Ethan and Walker decide to upend the operation. They take Solomon Lane for themselves, and then they have to outrun the police and the goons of the White Widow. That was a good chase sequence. I like that chase sequence.
I agree. It was a good chase sequence.
So that chase sequence for you, Jay.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed it. It was kind of cool how,
first we had him in the truck, and then they switched to the motorcycles. And then like he's constantly getting closed in and having to run away.
Yeah, definitely.
So then they get Solomon Lane, and he's talking about his mission to, I guess, break down the world order. And he had apparently a tracking device on him. They take out that tracking device. So we have Solomon Lane. I think he's a good villain, interesting villain, back from the last movie. Do you disagree, Jay?
No, I don't. I think he is a good villain, yeah.
This is, I think, the first time in the franchise they had a villain from a previous movie come back for another one. None of the other films have done that. They're always one-offs. This was different. So did that not work for you, or were you happy with it?
I think it was Because it was nice for the. I really did like the whole thing with the apostles and with this mysterious bad guy. I did like that because it was kind of interesting. Like, hey, you think you stopped, like, this
Okay.
threat, but the threat is around, and not only is it around, but it's more secret and stronger than you thought. And now they want to bring the world down with this plutonium. So I thought it was kind of cool how they did that. I like that.
And I think Sean Harris is a really good actor. Do you know what else he's been in?
Off
Did
the
you
top of
ever
my
see
head.
Did you ever see Prometheus?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
He was the geologist in Prometheus that gets attacked by that little snake creature.
Uh,
You remember that?
that movie I didn't like much, so I don't remember it that
It
well.
happened a while ago, but all
Mhm.
right, fair enough. I thought he was good in this film, though. He has that really creepy, whispery voice, you know?
Yeah, he did a pretty good job as the bad guy. Yeah, he was a
Um,
little threatening, a little unlikable as bad guys should be. So
Also of note, August Walker is visiting the CIA director, Erica Sloan, and he's telling her that Ethan is in fact John Lark, and he's
mhm,
betrayed the whole IMF
mhm,
because the government always disavows him, and that's true. The government does always disavow and turns on Ethan Hunt, but
mhm.
Ethan Hunt is never going to turn on the government, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have that, and so they take Solomon Lane to London to try and meet with the White Widow again and the broker. Oh, and then we had another chase sequence after that where Ilsa is trying to kill Ethan Lane. So we had a chase with Ethan trying to avoid Elsa on her motorcycle. So we had car versus. So we had Ethan on the bikes earlier getting chased by police cars, and then we have another scene where they're trying to run away from Elsa on her bike. So
Mhm.
kind of we had two like motorcycle chase scenes sort of like bookended against each other. Was that a
Mhm.
bit too much for you?
No, I just think that like the character of what was her name, Elsa,
Yeah,
was
Rebecca Ferguson.
okay. She was okay, but it was a little weird at first. It started to make sense toward the end, but I don't know. It
Did
was
you not like her in this film, or
there were just some moments that were good, and some moments were just like, wait, didn't we just have this? So you're gonna do this again? But we already had. I don't
did
know.
you like her better in the last movie? Maybe.
Yeah, I think she was better in the last movie. Yeah.
Okay. What moments did not work for you with Ilsa?
Well, it was a little kind of crazy where we had this giant chase scene. Then we're gonna have another chase scene when we just had a chase scene. I mean, it was a big chase scene too. Remember, the one that we had before, the one with her, was a big chase scene, and there was some moments where it almost felt like, well, why do we have her at this moment, that moment? Now, I mean, she kind of started to make more sense toward the end and got a bit stronger toward the end, so I forgive it. But there
Okay.
were moments where she wasn't as strong as she could have been because she was so shrouded in mystery. So maybe if they hadn't been, I don't know.
So they get to London. They're trying to do the deal with the White Widow, and then Alec Baldwin as Hunley comes in. He's like, "I'm shutting you all down
Mm-hmm.
because Sloane thinks Ethan is John Lark, and this is the only way I can protect you." And then, so basically, it's another big ruse to trick August Walker into revealing to the whole IMF team that he is in fact John
Mm-hmm.
Lark. So it was actually August Walker the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I think here's my problem with this reveal.
Mm-hmm.
The trailers had already made it pretty obvious that August Walker was a bad guy and was going to come to blows with Ethan Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they made it fairly obvious from the outset that August Walker was in fact the true bad guy. But
That wasn't it for me, but I think there was like that moment where you see it was almost like
okay,
in the beginning when he was kind of
okay,
talking secretly with his boss that you're like he's probably more than he seems to be. When he revealed he was a bad guy, like yeah, I kind of saw that coming. By the time I saw it, now I hadn't watched the trailers, so
right.
or I don't remember like if I did, I don't remember getting that vibe from them, but
Was it
definitely
too obvious to you?
yeah, it was very obvious once he got revealed. You're like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming, and then to me the movie got weaker from there because some of the action
Why?
scenes were so ridiculous and so like drawn out. They were like there was a point it's like,
Okay.
look, just have like that like they were just they were there like toward the end like with the helicopters and all that stuff. To me, it was so
Oh, Jay, are you still
ridiculous
with
and so
us?
over the
Okay.
top.
Okay.
I just was like, geez, just
So then, they're underground,
mm-hmm,
and then they realize that John Lark is August Walker, and he's working with the Apostles and Solomon Lane to set off these nuclear bombs. And then they get attacked, and then they do reveal this to Erica Sloane. So they are able to reveal that August Walker is actually John Lark. But then Sloane's like, "I'm going to arrest you all and take you all in," and she sends in like a CIA team to capture everyone. And then some of these CIA agents are like turncoats and working for the Apostles because the CIA has been infiltrated too. Because why not? So then they rescue Lane and Walker, and then Ilsa comes in to help the IMF guys, even though she was trying to kill Lane. Like her whole thing, Ilsa's whole motivation is that she has to kill Solomon Lane in order to earn the trust back for MI6 so she can return to England, basically. So that's her whole dilemma, is she's just out to kill Lane because MI6 does not want Lane giving secrets to other governments, basically. So we have that, and then Elsa comes back just in time to save the IMF. Unfortunately, Walker kills Alec Baldwin, so Hunley's dead. Alec Baldwin's character is dead.
When that happened,
what do you think about that? We lost Hunley.
Was a great addition to at least in this movie, and he's probably been in the previous ones too, right?
He was only in the last one. He was in.
Well, I liked his character, and when his character guy was at, I was like, "Oh, his character's gonna live," and he sees actually gonna die. I'm like, "God damn it, that was kind of a bummer."
I think though it kind of sold the stakes of the plot a little bit more. I didn't mind that he died.
It probably did help the stakes, but I would have liked to have seen him, not die. I think so. I was just a little bummed by it. I won't say
it seems the heads of the IMF are always expendable because
that's probably true.
There wasn't really a head for the IMF in the last movie. And then Hunley became the head of the IMF. But usually they change with each one, because in the first one it was Kittredge. He was gone. In the second one it was Anthony Hopkins. Third one it was Lawrence Fishburne. He never came back. And then the fourth one, I want to say it was... That guy died too.
I guess it was just so kind of a bummer. Even though it made sense, I still was like, "Oh, damn, I kind of didn't want to."
Alec Baldwin is very good in this role.
Yeah, he was.
So third it was Lawrence Fishburne. I want to... It was Tom Wilkinson. British actor. Okay. So Hunley is dead, and so then Ethan goes on the run to try and catch Walker. So we have another long sequence where Ethan's on foot, just running through. He's getting chased by some Apostle guys, and he's just running over buildings and jumping and doing. And this is where where Tom Cruise got his injury, doing that jump from one building to another, and he's hanging on the side. That's where he broke his ankle, I believe. So look, props to Tom Cruise, man, because he's doing a lot of these stunts himself. And he's suffering for the art, because you can't think of how many actors are willing to do that many stunts on their own, because when it's him, you can keep Tom Cruise in frame, and you don't have to cut away because it's a stunt double, so you can't tell. How many actors can you think of that are willing to do that? Especially at 56 years old. At 56 years old, he's doing that.
Yeah, not at that age. Not many at that age. It's the truth.
I think even when Jackie Chan got to that age, he had to start slowing down. That was Jackie Chan's big claim to fame for a while,
For a few decades, yes, but he couldn't keep going forever.
Yeah, but now you think they're going to keep making those movies. I mean, now I like that Cruise does this, but aren't you a bit worried that he might seriously hurt or injure himself doing one of these stunts one of these days?
Yeah, it could definitely happen. That's for sure.
All right.
Jackie Chan stuff. Jackie Chan
was this
all the time too, right?
Now, you were not as enthused about this film. Was this chase sequence that killed the film for you? So we had another chase sequence He's going after Walker, and it kind of ends in sort of like an abrupt, "Oh, I've got your wife, stay away" kind of way.
No, what really killed it for me was where they're up in the mountains in the
All
freaking,
right.
like, like that whole thing with the helicopters and how ridiculous and over the top and crazy that was, and how it went on for way too long and just got more ridiculous and silly over time.
All right, we'll get to that in a little bit. But in this scene, just when Ethan catches up to Walker, Walker's about to shoot him. He's like, "No, Lane's got plans for you and he wants you to see all the chaos and everything." And then he shows him a picture of Ethan's wife, I guess his ex-wife, Julia, and apparently the syndicate knows where she is. So they did put a tracker on Lane, so they're able to take Elsa. Elsa joins up with them, so they're tracking. Where? They tracked them to Kashmir, where there was sort of like this medical camp, because there was like a. I think the implication is that the syndicate orchestrated like a smallpox. I want to say a smallpox outbreak in Kashmir. So then Julia is working with this like sort of Doctors Without Borders group to administer vaccinations to this village over there. So they lured the syndicate lured Julia there because they orchestrated that whole smallpox outbreak. So the IMF, Ethan Hunt, find them all out there. Luther's like, okay, Ethan had a wife. He used to be married. They had to stay away from each other because Ethan always felt bad when they were together, and he couldn't, do something when something bad happened. Because obviously, now here's one complaint I do have: they keep building up this romance between Ethan and Elsa, and nothing really happens. That's kind of annoying to me. But what do you think about that?
I think
nothing happened with them in the last movie. Nothing happened in this movie.
It was a little odd, but I don't know.
Are they going to take? Is it going to take like 5 movies for them to get together, or what?
So you mean the girl in this one that
Elsa,
he thought
Rebecca? Rebecca Ferguson is Elsa.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's kind
like
of
the only woman Ethan kissed in this movie was the White Widow, Alana. And he was just doing that because he's playing a role, They didn't get together. Does it annoy you as much as it does me that like he keeps having this thing with Elsa, but like nothing happens?
I don't think that annoyed me too much. No.
Why?
I don't know. I guess it just didn't for whatever reason. I can't.
All right. So they follow the bad guys to Kashmir. So the nuclear weapons are in Kashmir, where basically the idea is that the syndicate wants to poison this sort of large water source, and it would basically contaminate a water source for a third of the world's population, basically.
Yes.
And East Asia, basically.
And they have 2 or 3 of those plutonium orbs again, or something like that.
Yeah. So they had 2 of the plutonium orbs, and they put them into nuclear weapons. So Benji's working on. So they have a solution to the nuclear weapons, but basically it means we have to start the countdown on the nuclear weapons, and then we can disable them. But we have to have this detonator, which Lane gives to August Walker, who's on a chopper. So they get to this village. So they're looking for the 2 bombs. Julia is there with her new husband. Do you know who played the new husband?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
It was Wes Bentley.
Okay.
Have you ever seen American Beauty?
Yeah.
That was Wes Bentley's sort of claim to fame in that film.
Okay. I don't remember if I watched the whole movie, but I've seen the majority of it. Yeah.
All right. So Wes Bentley, he was also in the Hunger Games films.
Which ones?
I think he was in a few of them.
Really? Who did he play?
No, he was in the first one. Excuse me.
Who did he play in?
He was Seneca Crane.
Okay.
You remember that character?
No, but I probably did see him in that.
He's been in quite a few films over the years. So it was Wes Bentley in that film.
Okay.
So Ethan reconnects with his long lost wife, Julia, who's there. Obviously, Julia suspects that something's going on. So Ethan has to run off into the helicopter
Mhm.
because August Walker's leaving the area to blow up the nuclear weapons. For whatever reason, Lane decides to stay there and watch the bombs go off right at the heart of them. What do you think of Lane's conviction? As in, like, he really believes in his goals.
Excuse me. So was Lane Viggo Mortensen's character? Is that who Lane was?
No, that was Sean Harris. Viggo Mortensen is not in the movie.
I'm sorry. So yeah,
Kind of
so,
looks like he. I see the resemblance, sorta.
let me do this.
Sean Harris was like the mastermind, Solomon Lane.
Oh right. Oh yeah. His. Oh yeah. He was gonna. Yeah, that's right. He was gonna stay because he wanted to see it through, and he didn't care if he died because he knew it was gonna be dead anyway or something. Right. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Not he knew he was gonna. Like, he felt like this was the end of his role in his plot or whatever.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. I thought he was a good character. I liked this guy as a villain.
Yeah, he was a good villain. I'll agree with that. He was.
All right. Now, was the helicopter chase a bit convoluted? Yes, I would probably agree with you.
It was, and it was too like long. It was too outstretched. It was
well, because I mean, it's not believable that because the timer on these nuclear weapons goes off and it starts at 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Is it believable that all that action happened in the span of 15 minutes in real time?
Heck no. And not only that, but it just gets more and more ridiculous as it goes along. Which is,
I mean, I'll tell you what I did like about this scene. That Ethan he gets into the helicopter and he doesn't know what the hell to do because he's never like. I like the idea that Ethan is like so smart and he's good at everything, but he doesn't have any idea how to fly a helicopter. That I thought was funny. Yeah. Come on, that's kind of funny, Jay.
Okay, I guess at this point from the movie, for me, it felt a little too long and it was just getting too ridiculous. I think
the movie was close to 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and it didn't need to be that long, I don't think.
You think they could have cut out some of it?
I think so, yeah, because I don't think Rogue Nation was that long, was it?
I think Rogue Nation was probably a little shorter. Let me see. Yeah. Rogue Nation was longer.
Really?
No.
It didn't feel like
slightly longer. So maybe the pacing was better. You think the pacing was better for Rogue Nation?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, fair enough. So we have this big First, Ethan is chasing Walker in a helicopter. Then he crashes into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fall onto into the mountains, and then they're fighting on the mountains over the detonator.
Yeah.
Then August gets sprayed with like this fuel that like burns half of his face, so half of Walker's face gets like melted off, which looked gross.
Yeah.
And he's fighting with Ethan. Ethan just now. I gotta be honest, the death scene for Walker was pretty good. How did you like that?
Yeah, that was satisfying. That was satisfying. He deserved it.
They're over the cliff. He pulls on the cable for that that hook. The hook falls off and it hooks right into his face, and then he careens down the cliff and into that explosion. That was a good movie death. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. That was a good death. It was satisfying.
And then Ethan just barely gets to the detonator at the last second, but the movie makes you think the bombs go off first. What did you think of that little fake out where they had that blaring light to make it look like the bombs go off?
I don't think I believed it was in me. I think I knew it wasn't real.
That was a neat little tease. But was that a bad tease then?
I thought it was because I didn't believe it. I'm like, I knew that everything.
Okay, so Ethan was able to save everyone from the bombs going off, and he does get to talk to his ex-wife, Julia. Julia's like, I'm happy. Nothing happened because you were here and were able to stop everything. So Ethan gets some closure with Julia. They've both moved on, but they still have a mutual love for each other. But they've moved on, and Julia's happy in her new life. And then Ilsa has a little moment, but they don't really like kiss or do anything. I was a little disappointed, honestly.
What I didn't like, and I think it was Angela Bassett who was, the one who was ready to like throw everything out the window, right? And it kind of revealed, hey, she was working with freaking August Walker, right?
No, I mean, she wasn't working with him knowing he was part of the syndicate. She
I thought
didn't
there
know.
was a part where she was like, "Yeah, we need to find those plutonium," and she wanted to like, be work with him to like
No, no, no,
destroy
not work
something.
with him. She wanted to arrest him and take him into custody and question him, basically.
I
That's
thought
what.
it seemed like there was a part where she was working with him.
Well, yeah, she was working with him, but she believed he was August Walker for the CIA and working for her. She didn't know he was working for Solomon Lane.
I thought there was a part where she did
No,
realize that, and it seemed like she was just like, forgiven, like, oh, she was going to screw us all over and let us all die, but it's okay, I was forgiven. It
no.
seemed like that to me, and I didn't like that.
I think you're misinterpreting swaths of the film, Jay.
I may have. It's a possibility.
It's not. I don't think it's a maybe at this point. But basically, it ends with so Solomon Ilsa is able to incapacitate Solomon Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of killing him, she saves Benji's life and spares Solomon Lane, who's taken back to MI6.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but Ethan and Ilsa are not together. That doesn't bother you at all. Like why? Like why do they keep teasing us with Ilsa and Ethan?
I don't know.
What do you think? Are you think they're trying to save that for the next movie?
Maybe.
Just because none of the previous movies have really done that kind of thing before, other than the fourth movie. There wasn't really an actual romance there.
Mm-hmm.
Paula Patton was the sort of female lead in that film, but she didn't really have an actual romance going on with Ethan Hunt. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So that part doesn't bother you at all that they're not no progression for Ethan and Elsa, none whatsoever.
It didn't bother me too much. No, I
Okay,
don't know
but
why. It
the
just
length in the movie, and just too much action.
yeah.
Sometimes too much action is just too much, right?
What really bugged me was it just got too ridiculous, over the top action toward the end, especially. This is what happened. It was predictable. You knew that, hey, you know what? Like one of them is like the bad
What
guys.
about when he's climbing on the side of the building in the fourth one?
I didn't like that one. Looked really cool. Again, I didn't see that movie, but that
Okay.
that I remember seeing the trailers for that and going, yeah, that looked really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Jay, I really like this movie. I think it's probably the best movie of the summer. Jay, not so much. I would give this definitely a 9 out of 10. Jay, what's your rating out of
I'd
10?
be closer to a 7.5 or an 8.
Wow.
It was good,
Wow.
but like I said, the ending kind of like brought it down for me. But before that,
Not the ending, but the final act.
yeah, the final act, like the first two acts were strong. They were pretty good. It was pretty fun. It was, you didn't know what was going to happen. It was enjoyable, but the final act kind of brought it down for me.
Okay. So I like the movie considerably more than Jay. That's okay. This movie didn't work but Jay is brutal, man. 7.5. 7.5. When Jay is brutal, he doesn't. Jay, you don't pull your punches, man.
That's not brutal. I could be much. I've been there are other films I've seen this year. I'd be much more brutal on this one because this
Jay,
one was
you
the
were
least watchable.
a cold-blooded killer. You were a cold-blooded killer, man. How does that feel?
Yeah.
All right. All right, moving on. So that was our full-on spoiler review of Mission Impossible. I would recommend at least see it in theaters at least once.
I would say matinee, but no need for 3D.
Maybe not 3D.
Yeah, matinee would be just fine.
But try to see it in a digital theater or a theater with good picture and sound.
Yeah.
Because I think it is very well shot, and I hope Christopher McQuarrie comes back to do a seventh. Or are you not? Are you just lukewarm in this franchise now?
No, I think it's made so much it's going to do another one. Just be sure to do a little bit better, like you did with Rogue Nation, because Rogue Nation, I think, had much less problems with in this one. I really do think they did.
I think most would be in agreement, though, that this franchise has continually gotten better after it had ups and downs, but now it's sort of, in terms of the audience, it has hit its stride because 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's been #1 the last 2 weekends. It beat Christopher Robin this week. So yeah, let's get into Christopher Robin a little bit. Your
Okay.
thoughts on that film? I didn't hate it, but I thought it was very weak.
You know, what the thing with me was I went in going, this is going to be really good or really bad, and me, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. It was fun. It was definitely different. You know, like
Okay.
it was. I had my doubts because we already get a Christopher Robin movie? Was it last year? Because
Right, that was more, but that was like the true story. This is like totally fictional.
well, this is like you know a continuation of like the original because it even starts off really good where it starts off the original story and Christopher Robin and the 100 Acre Wood is out to this magical place, so that was kind of cool. And
Because Christopher Robin, here's the thing: A. A. Milne, his real son was actually Christopher Robin.
I
His
remember
young,
that, and we even had
that was what Goodbye Christopher Robin was about.
and we even had because we had in the mini adventures in Winnie the Pooh we have where you know Christopher Robin goes to school and that happened here too where he's going to school so he can't really hang out in 100 Acre Wood anymore, right? And we get to see like you know where how he met his wife and his daughter and Haley Atwell I thought was great in this movie by the way I thought she was
She's not
wonderful.
in nearly enough movies, I think. Don't you
And
think she's
so
really good? Didn't you think she was good on Agent Carter?
oh yeah I love that movie they need to do a season 3 like now.
Well, they're not going to do. I mean, I just feel like she's way more talented and could be in more film and TV shows. Don't you think?
Yeah, and so what I like about this film, that I think what was really good about it was, you know, we get to see where Christopher Robin grows up, and he pretty much like, you know, loses his, you know, spark for life. He's just work, work, and more work, right?
Well. He went off to war. He went off to
Yeah,
fight in World War II.
yeah, true.
Came back, and then he became like a work. I guess my problem with it was that it was kind of like the stereotypical workaholic dad
Uh-huh.
and has to learn his lesson, shenanigans with Winnie the Pooh and his friends. And it was predictable. The movie was so predictable.
I beg to differ.
It was how was it not?
Well, for starters, you know, who comes back
It was more
to
predictable than August Walker being the bad guy in Mission Impossible.
no, well, let me explain.
Okay.
For me, you know, you see where Christopher Robin goes back to 100 Acre Wood with Pooh, and clearly it's not the same. It's just all
It's
foggy and
dreary.
stuff
It's
and everything.
dreary.
And then, you know, the part
All
where
right, but you know he's gonna find his other friends. He's gonna help him out, and they're gonna help him out at work and save his job and save his family.
well, maybe if it was predictable, I still enjoyed the journey. I still
Okay.
enjoyed seeing how it was happening. Like Eeyore, I thought was really
I'll
good.
tell you what I did enjoy. I enjoyed
Seeing
Brad
Jim
Garrett.
Cummins,
Brad Garrett was really good as the new Eeyore. He
and
was
seeing
really
Jim
good.
Cummins as, of course, Tigger and Pooh, I think was wonderful. He does a great job with those characters. I liked Piglet. I thought Piglet was pretty cool. It was cool where Owl was supposed to be like more like a real owl and Rabbit was supposed to be like more like a real rabbit.
Why
That was
are
pretty cool.
okay? Why are Rabbit and Owl like real, and like the other ones look like stuffed animals come to life?
Well, I'll say this in the because even in the Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, they didn't look like stuffed animals. They did look real. So maybe that's why.
Hmm.
Because
You mean the old Disney cartoon? Is that
yeah,
what
they
you're
looked
saying?
real. They didn't look like toys. And I thought
I can
Piglet was
see the
kind of
appeal.
cool.
I mean, you're a hardcore Disney fan, so I can kind of see there's a lot of a lot of homages to the
Yeah,
classic
there was a
Disney
lot
Winnie
of
the
really
Pooh.
good homages to
So I
it. You
can
know,
kind of see why you would enjoy that.
no,
I just think as a movie, it was sort of dull and predictable. Okay, like when Pooh and the other characters come into like the real world, like I don't really feel like they really explain why that's the case. Like, are they Christopher Robin's imaginary friends, or are they like magical creatures from another dimension? Like, what
the
is the
magical
deal?
creatures. Because remember, eventually the daughter can hear them talk, and
Yeah,
so can
so
the
yeah,
wife.
but how does that work?
It works because they were real.
Weren't they just his? I thought they were just his toys that he played with as a kid.
Not in this version. This version, it was actually looked like it was like another universe or something where you went there and that was the 100 Acre Wood was there. I thought
That's okay. That's okay for you.
yeah, and I thought the 100 Acre Wood looked amazing. I thought it looked really, really good. I loved how the 100 Acre Wood looked. I loved too where they did the part with the heffalump, and I loved the part especially where really what I liked was, you know, Pooh and his friends were coming back, you know, literally like like kind of brought Christopher Robin back to the person he was and the person he was meant to be. And I love how he helps in the end work everything out of his company, so everything works out as it's supposed to work out. And I don't know, for me,
Yeah, but
I like this movie a lot. I had a lot of fun
that's going to
watching.
happen. Everything happened as you expected it would.
I think I still, just for me, I had a lot of fun watching this. I was pleasantly surprised by it. I knew it was going to be really good or really bad. I really had a
Even
blast.
Haley Atwell, I love her, and I thought she did okay in this film. I think they could have done more with her character because, like, they see her with, like, you see her with some paintbrushes. I'm like, okay, is she an artist? Like, what does she do? We don't really get to see much of that.
And I thought Ewan McGregor was great as freaking Christopher Robin. I thought he was good. I liked it a lot.
I thought he was, again, like, the movie's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brad Garrett kind of like steals the show to me as Eeyore with all of his one-liners.
I thought Pooh was pretty good too.
Yeah,
I thought
like Jim Cumming is like, he's one of the best in the business, and he really nails those characters. But the movie is kind of disposable to me. Did you like the Dick Sherman cameo? They had that going for it.
Who was Dick Sherman?
Or Richard Sherman.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, because who was Richard Sherman in this? But I know who Richard Sherman is.
He's in the Did You Leave during the credits? He has that credit scene.
No, I think, did I?
They have that little film where they're going on vacation and he's playing the piano.
I think I did miss that.
Well, Sherman is in Sherman is a Disney legend who composed a lot of the classic Disney films, and
I'm familiar who Sherman is.
I believe he did all the original Winnie the Pooh films, and did I think he did the original Winnie the Pooh song, which they used in this movie.
Yeah, I think there was just so much nostalgia for this film, and like so many good throwbacks to the original is why I liked it so much. I think that's why I like this film so much, because it was such a good homage to that and had so many cool tidbits.
How is Pooh able to eat honey?
Does
he have organs?
I don't know.
Does he have how does he digest it?
Mm-hmm.
How does he eat it, you think? Is it just magic? Like, what's going on there?
Let's put it this way. This is a film where kids will definitely love it. Kids will love this movie. And if you're a big Winnie the Pooh fan like me, you'll love it. But if you're not, you could probably miss this one. The world probably won't end.
Let me see here. It made $25 million this weekend.
How much was its budget?
That's what I'm trying to find out right now. Apparently, it's not getting released in China. It did below expectations. Let's see. What was the budget? $75 million. So it did okay-ish. Let's just say that.
It still has time to make that up, though, I think.
A little bit. It's not
Mission Impossible, but I don't.
But it's like, look,
be much competition.
Mission Impossible has like $180 million budget. This movie is like less than half that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, that there isn't another really good family film coming out till what? The holidays?
Probably later in the fall.
So I think this one has a chance to, because that budget, I think Disney was smart making the budget what it was, because they could, even if they don't make that back in tickets, they could probably make that back in DVD and Blu-ray sales, probably.
Did you like we find out Christopher Robin has a daughter who's really like artistic and adventurous? Did you like that?
Yeah, I did. I thought that was great, and I thought it was cool where in the end he realizes, I'm not going to make you go to boarding school like me, because you know what, you'll have more fun with us. So I like.
All right, well, that's a bit of a spoiler, but whatever. The movie's out. That's Christopher Robin, pretty much in a nutshell. I did see you like that movie more. Yeah. But I think that's because I think you're manipulated by nostalgia, Jay.
Maybe.
All right. So also we found out, and moving on to film and TV news a little bit. Mm-hmm. So Star Trek announced that Patrick Stewart is returning to the role of Jean-Luc Picard. Mm-hmm. With a new Star Trek series. It will be on CBS All Access. Mm-hmm. Series will tell the next chapter in Picard's life. Oh. Stewart and executive producer Alex Kurtzman surprised fans at Star Trek Las Vegas with the news.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It's a new TV series starring Patrick Stewart as Picard. What do you make of this? Do you think this is good for the franchise or what?
Well, It could be. I don't know. I mean, Picard
Have you
is.
liked Discovery?
I haven't gotten too into it yet, but I probably should try to give it a second look. But I'll say this: I think Picard is one of the more popular captains. I think,
Right. I would
because
agree.
and we kind of saw on All Good Things what happened to Picard later in life, right? We kind of saw that, right?
Right.
So I wonder, are they going to do like when he's an admiral or when he's retired, or is he going to be like teaching the next generation? What's going to happen? I wonder. But I remember hearing that Picard, I mean, Patrick Stewart
Hmm.
was actually getting a little emotional bringing up this news because he was so excited about it. And I can see that. I mean, it's a character that, it's a really, really good character. And
Hmm.
let's put it this way: I'm intrigued. I want to see more and know more, but I'm intrigued by this news. I kind of, honestly, personally, still
Hmm.
want to kind of see the Captain Worf or something like that. I want to see that personally, but
What do you think he'll become a captain again? Do you think they'll take it in that direction?
I don't think so. Not Picard. No, I
Do
don't
you
think
think
so.
maybe this will be more like Picard in a position of maybe he's like a high-ranking member of the Federation and has to work through crises that way? Do you think
Like
they'll
an
do that?
ambassador or an admiral or something like that. I would think because
Like Admiralty, or maybe like an ambassador, and he has to sort of smooth over like a political
I just think
crisis.
him being a captain at this point, I don't know if it would work anymore. I mean, he doesn't look really that different from Next Generation. Maybe he's got a little bit less hair, but
He's
that's
aged very
about it.
well. He looks very good for his age. I would agree.
So if he really wanted to do it, he could do it. I just want to see. Like, this is good news. I just want to, I guess, see a little bit more of where they're going with it. Because right now it's just, oh, he's going to come back to be Jean-Luc Picard, Jean-Luc Picard. Okay, when? Like when is it going to be like Next Generation
Well,
time?
we
After
don't
that?
have any details yet, but
I know. So that's why, it's
we
good
need
news,
to
but
know.
I
We
want to know more.
definitely need to know more.
Definitely, definitely, I agree. Absolutely.
Moving on to another franchise with Star in it. I just wanted to bring this up. So, Episode 9 has started filming,
Mhm.
and they revealed the cast list for Episode 9. Let's see.
Now, who revealed this? What website?
Well, it was Star Wars, and it was Disney and Lucasfilm, basically.
Okay, okay.
So all of this is this isn't like this secondhand news, like a source or something. All this came from straight from Lucasfilm.
Okay.
I
So
just want
J.J.
to,
Abrams is still directing it, right?
yeah.
Okay. And Lucas has no part of it. He's not doing anything in it.
Well, no, he's retired. It
Well, I
was
just heard.
Lucasfilm that announced it.
Okay.
So now we know that Mark Hamill is coming back, and we also know that Carrie Fisher will be in this film in some form using unused footage from the last two movies, basically. What do you
Which
think of this?
not only is that smart, but I think that Mark Hamill is really glad to hear that because there was a rumor at one time that Meryl Streep was going to come in and do it, and that would have been a terrible idea.
Meryl
No one's
Streep?
been. It was a rumor. It
No
was
way.
never written in stone, but it was a rumor. It
That's
was.
BS. BS.
I'm not saying. Hey, I'm just saying it was a rumor. I'm never saying it was true or it was going to happen. But you know what? It was one of those things where you read, you're like, yeah, that would be a horrible, horrible idea. But
You can't no, because Lucasfilm already said they would never recast her.
well, still, it was going through the rumor mill at one time. Like I said, it was never
It was
written in
fake.
stone.
That was fake and made up.
Hey, I'm not saying it was ever true. I'm just saying I read that, and a lot of fans read that.
Where did you read that? I don't
And
even believe you read that.
well, there was a time that Mark Hamill even saw that and was like, "That what the hell?" He was pissed.
Okay, so here's here's the primary cast.
Now, of course, well, let's just talk to real quick. Mark Hamill coming back isn't a shock to me. I kind of saw
Right.
that
Well,
coming. So,
I think we all expect, because I mean, look, I mean, death doesn't mean we're never going to see you again in Star
yeah,
Wars, right?
especially with Jedi. Especially with Jedi.
Right. I mean, Yoda's dead, and we saw him again in the last movie.
Which
You
was
know.
actually pretty cool. I like that. That was a cool
Okay.
reveal.
So here's let's see. Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Lupita Nyong'o, Domhnall Gleeson, Kelly Marie Tran, and Billy Lord are all come. Okay, here's the other good news. Billy D. Williams will be back as Lando.
Yeah,
So
I heard that, and
yeah,
that's
he's been absent from the last two, so that's good news. That we're getting to see Lando again.
now will it be Cloud City again, or will it be somewhere else? I wonder.
He could be anywhere. I mean, he wasn't in Cloud City and Jedi.
That's true.
Why would he? You know, there's.
Yeah, I heard
think
that
now. Look,
news.
I think it would be cool if we maybe go back to Cloud City for a little bit, but whatever. Who knows? We have new cast members are Naomi Ackie and Kerry Russell and Richard E. Grant. We do not know who they are playing.
Oh.
Do you like Kerry Russell?
What has she been in?
Her big breakout thing was Felicity.
I never watched that
TV series that J.J. Abrams worked on, actually.
Yeah, I know of it, but I never watched it.
Also, she was in Mission Impossible 3 and the TV show The Americans. Ever watch The Americans?
No.
That's an FX TV series. She sort of like a spy espionage show. She was on that show since it debuted in 2013, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We have no idea who Kerry Russell is playing. So, is this a desperate situation for Lucasfilm, Jay?
I don't think so. When I heard J.J. Abrams was doing 9, I had hope. The only thing that was difficult about 9 at first was he kind of got backed into a corner with what happened with Carrie Fisher. But I have, I have, you know.
You have faith. You have faith he'll do a good job.
Yeah, I do, and I've always kind of had that because I think personally he did an amazing job with Force Awakens. I personally think that. So I think he'll do a good job with this. It'll be a little challenging, but I think he'll find a way to make it.
Now, question: is Star Wars damaged goods right now?
No. No, because only
is the brand tainted after The Last Jedi, similar to DC after Batman versus Superman?
No, I think what actually hurt it more, surprised me, even though I liked it, was Solo. That's the one that hurt it more.
Okay, but people are saying that the reception of The Last Jedi hurt Solo.
I don't know if I could agree with that, sadly.
Why don't you agree?
Because let's look at it from this perspective. I mean, even though there were whole parts they could have cut out of,
but a lot of people have been very violent with their reactions toward their dislike for Last Jedi. Come on, don't tell me you're not aware of that.
No, I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just saying that for me,
this is like Phantom Menace levels of like fans like just going crazy angry.
Yeah, like for me, for The Last Jedi, there were parts that were bad, but there were also parts that were really good.
Okay, I agree.
For Solo,
but I'm talking about the fan. I'm asking you to look outside your own personal bubble and the whole fandom, Star Wars fandom as a whole. Has the brand been damaged in the eyes of the fans?
Yeah, but I think what damaged it was more of Solo than what it, because I saw more backlash for Solo than I did for Last Jedi. That's just the truth.
Why do you say that?
Well, wasn't there like there was again? This was just rumor, but there was rumors at time where fans were so pissed they wanted Kathleen Kennedy out. I remember that happening with around.
Yeah, but they were all. It's not just because of Solo, because of Last Jedi.
But wasn't Last Solo kind of the last straw to a lot of fans, or am I wrong?
Probably, but I think look. This is just how I'm reading the fan reception. It's not just Solo. It's how Kathleen Kennedy. How she handled things with Lord and Miller. Remember that? We talked about that on the original directors for Solo.
Yeah.
Josh Trank, and apparently with Last Jedi. Now, look, I don't think she has an easy job managing this whole thing, and I think, you know, some people are being unduly harsh. But I'm just saying, based on fan reception, fans are angry over The Last Jedi, and I think that hurts Solo, because I think Solo was a decent film, right?
I agree. Yeah.
But I think here what I think happened is, because they didn't like Last Jedi, they stayed away from Solo. Not everyone, but I think a certain group of people.
I thought a lot of people didn't like it because of the casting of who they had for Han, right? Am I wrong?
I mean, to me, that I mean, I don't know how you can quantify that. You know, I think
I'm just saying. I'm just saying because like I didn't have a
I
problem with it,
read I've
but I
read
thought a
some
lot of
reactions.
fans.
Some people didn't like no, some people didn't like the casting for Han Solo, for young
Yeah,
Han Solo. But I mean, who would have done a good job there? You know what I mean? Who would have done better?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to look from the fans' perspective. The fans, a lot of them
I
didn't like.
mean, I got to be honest. Some of the bickering is just so it's just so over the top, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But I'm just saying that I'm just trying to look at the fans' perspective here because I think
Do but do
personally,
you think? Here's my question, though. Here's my next question.
yeah,
Does J.J. Abrams have a harder challenge than bringing back Star Wars than that he did with Episode 7? Is this an even bigger challenge?
yes,
Because the fandom, here's what you can't deny: the fandom right now is very divided, and everyone's like angry at each other. You can't deny that. So can J.J. Abrams bring the fandom back together? And is this a bigger challenge than what he had to deal with for Last Jedi? Not Force Awakens, excuse me.
yeah, it is. But for me though, it's not because of the fandom. It's because of what happened with Carrie Fisher because she was supposed to have this huge role, and it's like now she just can't.
Well,
And to be
I mean,
fair, in
she
my
died.
opinion, to be fair, in my opinion, Ryan Johnson backed J.J. Abrams into a corner. He just did. That's just the truth.
Why do you think backed him into a corner? By killing? You mean by killing Luke Skywalker?
Not just that, just like with how the film ended in general, it's like, what the heck do you do now? He killed off a bunch of characters that shouldn't have been killed off.
And he restarted the Empire.
I mean,
That too.
killing freaking Captain Phasma for God's sakes. Why would you do that for? I mean, come on, that was an amazingly powerful
And
character.
Snoke.
Yeah, Snoke too. And not only that, but Snoke, we got to know almost nothing about Snoke. Just Snoke is dead now. Okay, who is Snoke? Where did Snoke come from? How is Snoke
You
so
want to know
powerful?
the one? You want to know the one thing I would change about that movie, though, if I could change one thing?
What?
The death of Luke. That's the one thing.
Yeah, it was kind of anticlimactic, wasn't it?
Not just it is anticlimactic, but it's also kind of like, what did they just do? What just happened there?
Yeah.
Because
And again, for me, it was so painfully obvious.
I think that's
He's not
where
going to be gone.
he lost a lot of the audience, because I feel like the movie should have been a redemption story for Luke, and then you have Luke back in the next one, and it's like he's back, you know, he's back in the fray.
Well, like I've said before, he'll come back as a Force ghost. Just watch.
Right. I mean, now now that's basically been confirmed by the news
Yeah.
for so I mean, I guess that's good news that they're good. I don't know how this unused footage is going to work.
Oh.
I hope it. I can't. I can't imagine they have that much footage though.
I don't know. I just know that J.J. Abrams, I have faith in him. So I think he'll do the best he can with what he's given at this point. I think
My problem is that after a while, everyone started turning on the Force Awakens,
I don't know
and
why.
I don't get that at all.
I don't either.
Well, I mean, I get the arguments, but I just don't see them.
Yeah.
So The Last Jedi will be coming out December 2019. So we won't.
Wait, you mean whatever? We don't have the name for the next one, right?
Not The Last Jedi. Excuse me. Episode 9.
Yeah.
Episode 9 will be out. The Last Jedi came out last December. The
Maybe
sequel to The Last Jedi.
Maybe they'll announce that name at D23. Who knows?
I imagine they'll announce it before then. I guess it'll depend on when D23 is.
Well, time out. Are they going to have a Star Wars celebration before D23?
Probably.
That's when they'll announce it then.
I think Celebration is going to be in Chicago next year, as I recall.
Is it going to be in like May or June or something?
Let's see. Celebration 2019, April 2019, and Chicago. So there you go.
That's when they'll announce that.
And we'll probably get our first trailer or teaser.
Maybe. Probably a teaser. Probably a teaser.
Yeah, something like that.
And D23 is usually around July, right? Usually.
Used to be August, September, and except in 2017,
it was July, right?
It was in July before Comic-Con, which I did not like. Yeah. Next year it'll be in August.
Really?
So they might have stuff in August for D23.
So it'll be after Comic-Con. Interesting.
It'll be, thankfully, good. That's the way it should be.
Did they say when in August yet, or just in August?
August 23rd.
So that's a whole month after. That is kind of good.
Right. That's.
It sounded like from what you said last year, that was really freaking killer having the two back to back.
That was brutal on me. Brutal. That was like so bad.
Okay.
I don't know why they did that. I hated that they did that.
It sent somebody. I don't know.
Well, I think they were trying to send a message to Comic-Con or just compete with. I think it was a competitive thing, you know.
You know, it's kind of a bummer. I kind of wish we'd gotten something more at Comic-Con about Resistance. We really didn't, did we?
We did get all we got was the Clone Wars announcement for the new season of Clone Wars.
Yeah, but that was kind of weird because it's, again, Resistance is in the fall, right?
Right. I agree with you. Yeah. And unless they delay it, I'm a little surprised we haven't seen anything yet. I think we should have seen something. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I do. I totally agree.
Because, I mean, for Rebels, we were seeing stuff like pretty early beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if Resistance debuts in the fall, like October, let's say it comes out October-ish.
Or November.
You know, that's like 3 months from now.
Yeah.
We should see something. We should see something soon, don't you think?
I would definitely think
because
so.
now it's in August, so that's
could
be. It's like it's only a couple months away if that's when it starts.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. Season finale of Cloak and Dagger. How was it?
It was really cool. So basically, what happens is because most of the season it's been Tandy and Tyrone getting the hang of their powers, getting the hang of each other. Tandy kind of has been trying to deal with her past and clear her father's name. Tyrone has gone after Connors because Connors not only killed his brother, but one of his brother's friends later too. And at one point, looks like they even got Connors. Then that didn't work out.
So is Roxxon behind this whole thing, or what?
Yes, and what is going on is Roxxon is trying to get a hold of whatever powers under the earth that kind of created Tandy and Tyrone in the first place, right? And in the finale, we have people. Actually, what basically happens in the finale is there's a couple of explosions of this stuff in the city, and what happens is people become what Ivan has called terrors, where they basically are just deadly things that just want to attack everything in sight, right? Almost like zombies. They're not zombies, but almost like that. And so Tandy and Tyrone have to find a way to work together and stop from the city basically tearing itself apart. And so what happens is there's the one female cop who gets blasted up and then falls into the water. Then there Connors.
Is it O'Reilly?
Yes. And then Connors actually, because what happens is Tyrone had this really cool cloak that his brother made, and it gets ripped to shreds. But then it turns out Tandy had been keeping the sweatshirt he had from when he was a kid, which was his brother's, when he got his powers in the first place. And turns out that amplifies his powers even more than it has already. We also get to see a pretty cool history on this episode from there's this one girl who likes Tyrone's aunt. Talks about the divine pairing and different times in history where they've kind of saved New Orleans from different crises that have happened. And where...
But are they really divine if they're getting their powers from a source underground?
Well, this woman believes that Tandy and Tyrone are the next divine pairing, where they're meant to save New Orleans from this new threat, but supposedly one has to die in the process. That's usually how the divine pairing works.
What is that's underground that's causing all this? What is it?
It's just some kind of weird energy, is what it is.
Is it Terrigenesis crystals or from?
It's not Terrigenesis crystals. But it's something that
Terrigen Mist.
What?
Remember Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Inhumans had those Terrigen crystals. So what is this thing underground that's causing this?
It's not, I don't know if they ever really fully know. But again, it's what gave Tandy and Tyrone their powers.
And who's this girl talking about the divine pairing? What's her deal?
Her auntie is the one that's talking about it. And what happens is You know, like her auntie through history has these like, dolls that have been the different divine pairings of the past. And they have dolls of Tandy and Tyrone where Tyrone's is black and Tandy's is white, right? Hence like the
Right.
powers light and dark, right? And so what happens is Tyrone thinks he needs to, sacrifice himself to stop it and goes to the heart of this place to stop it. And then Tandy comes with him and they both stop it together by absorbing it and blasting into the sky. So they save, New Orleans in the end. And O'Reilly comes out of the water at the end in a teaser and some kind of, I don't really know what she is, but probably the bad guy for season 2. Because again, we found out at Comic-Con, this has gotten a season 2.
In the comics, she's Mayhem.
So maybe that's what Mayhem is. It looks just like almost like an undead that can move really fast. That's what it's like. So maybe it's
Is she turning evil then?
Well, I think her getting blasted by the she gets like blasted by a puff of the stuff, and then I think Connor shot her once or twice, and she fell in the water. So maybe it turned her to Mayhem. That may have been what happened. But I thought it was a really good finale. Personally, I really like this show. I think Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph are amazing. They do a wonderful job as their characters. And they kind of have like a good coming around, at the end of this season. Like, they kind of realize, okay, we're meant to work together and be a team and all that stuff. So, yeah, it was good.
Did Tyrone, was Tyrone able to expose his brother's killer?
No, he wasn't able to. He like it was an episode or two before this one where he thought he did, but I think Connor used his some kind of like because Connor's worked for Roxxon, I think. He's got some kind of connection to Roxxon. But like I said. In this one, Tyrone absorbs Connors, and Connors is gone. That's it. No more Connors. He's gone.
So what current state are the characters in at the end of this season?
At the end of the season, Tandy and Tyrone realize, you know what, they're meant to work together, and they're better together than apart.
Just working, no romance.
Yeah, no romance yet, but definitely working, and they realize they're a good team together, and hey, they saved the city, so that's where they're at.
So so now they want to be like superheroes full time?
I think they realize they're meant to be the protectors of the city. I think they realize that.
Okay. Does anyone ever say darkness and light together we strike?
No.
Okay. No, that's unfortunate.
Well, it may happen in season 2. Who knows, right?
That happened. That's what they said on Ultimate Spider-Man, and I like that.
Nice.
I like catchphrases and costumes, man.
Yeah, but I thought it was a great finale, and this is a really good show so far. And I'm very excited to go to season 2, and I'm excited to see what season 2 does. So I'm looking.
We don't have enough costumes and catchphrases and stuff on these shows, Jay.
Well, yeah. And should we talk a bit about the recent episodes of Amazing Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man?
Marvel Spider-Man.
So are you caught up on all the Bring on the Bad Guys?
Not yet.
So,
but it looks good.
Basically, in a nutshell, and it's not really.
I know that we've got Spider-Gwen now, and now we have
Spider-Girl.
Spider-Girl,
actually, not Spider-Gwen, Spider-Girl.
Spider-Girl and Aranya, right?
Just Spider-Girl.
Didn't someone else get spider powers?
No, it's just Miles, Peter,
and Gwen.
And no, not yet. We haven't.
I thought.
She had them on the Spider City 5-episode thing, or that
Spider
one?
Island. Spider Island.
She had them on that, but she does not have them on this. No. But it turns out we find out in this arc that
Anya. So Anya doesn't have her powers yet?
No, she does. She kept her powers.
Okay.
And so
so that means Anya is on her way to becoming Aranya.
Spider-Girl's what they call her.
No, she's Aranya.
I'm just saying what they call her is Spider-Girl.
Well, her real name is Aranya, and that's what they should call her.
So anyway, so what happens so far on here is Peter Parker in the second episode decides, you know what, I'm done working for Jameson because he's making me look so bad. People are scared of me on the street, for God's sakes. And he's again worrying about how am I going to pay for school. And he's trying to, there's this open house where he can make some kind of project, maybe sell. Somebody thinks he can do that to, pay for school, right? But he has this onslaught of people come to these 2-3 bad guys every episode. He first fights against, I think it was Panda and Hippo. Then he fights against someone called, I think they were called, I want to say Arsenal. I don't know if that was her real name, but that's what it was, something like that. Then he goes against most recently, a new version of Electro. and Prowler, and he's gone against like someone called Jack-O-Lantern and a Mysterio. He's gone against all these people because there's some mysterious person who is, has put this bounty on Spider-Man's head. It's a big bounty. They want, Spider-Man alive. That's what they want. And so Spider-Man pretty much has been just nonstop, and he's feeling the strain. He's feeling, Peter Parker is feeling the strain of fighting all these bad guys back to back to back to back. On the last episode, he's just like, my God, I'm getting sore. I'm getting sleep deprived. I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of fighting because they're coming after him, right? He's just trying to avoid them, and like, they keep coming after him, and it's just getting worse and worse. And this last episode, I won't say what, but he thinks he's found the person behind it all. We think. But so it's been a really good little arc so far because, we've got to see, like I said, Spider-Girl was introduced. There was this one guy called the Spot, I think, was when we saw Spider-Girl introduced, which is kind of cool. And we've seen a lot of interesting bad guys, some new versions, like Electro was a new version. We've seen a lot of weird bad guys, that's for sure, a lot of really weird ones. But yeah, we've seen a lot, just a onslaught of bad guys come after, Spider-Man, and he's had to take on a lot of really crazy ones in a lot of crazy ways. But it's been a good arc so far. I really enjoy it.
It looks like from Comic-Con that Avengers in its next season is going to move to a style that's closer to this show as well.
Well, didn't they say that Peter Parker is going to be in it for a little bit?
Well, he's already been on it, so.
But I think this season he's coming back, right? Am I wrong?
I wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure they'll have plenty of time to do that.
Well, I thought when we were at the panel,
he was on last season.
But when we were at the panel, he was there, right?
Robbie Damon, yeah. And he was on Guardians of the Galaxy too when they fought Thanos on Earth with the symbiote.
Yeah, the Carnage symbiote. Yeah.
So, but my point is that the next season of Avengers, the Black Panther quest, will have a style that's closer to what we're seeing now on Spider-Man. So they're changing animation styles, basically.
Yeah. And so far this has been a really good arc. I think there might be one episode left. And
I like that that we got Jameson on this show, and it's just classic J. Jonah Jameson,
Yeah, he's definitely by no means a likable character, but they did a good job with him, that's for sure.
All right. Okay. Any other shows to recap for you?
I don't think at this point shows, but I do think it's very important we talk about what finally became official because we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. It's been about a week or two.
Oh yeah.
And there was a time, if I'm not wrong, Comcast tried to give them a run for their money, right? Didn't they?
Right. So what Jay is referring to is the Disney 20th Century Fox, or I guess 21st Century Fox, the merger. So
with Disney, and I actually saw this official news on Nuke the Fridge, so that's what I'm calling it.
All right, so I have here's the official press release. So this is what we have.
Okay.
Shareholders for both the Walt Disney Company and the 21st Century Fox approved a $71.3 billion buyout, with the majority of the Disney shareholders approving the deal for a package including Fox's 39% stake in the European pay TV company Sky, which Comcast is still actively trying to pursue.
And the price went up because of Comcast, right?
Right. Because Comcast put in multiple bids to buy those assets, and then Disney basically raised it basically like $12 billion up to 71.3, excuse me. So here's Rupert Murdoch's statement. Combining the 21st Century Fox businesses with Disney and establishing new Fox will unlock significant value for our shareholders. We are grateful to our shareholders for approving this transaction. I want to thank all of our executives and colleagues, blah, blah, blah. All right. The deal opens the door for Disney to integrate properties like Fantastic Four, Deadpool, and the X-Men to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Which fans have been very, very excited for.
Right,
none of this is written in stone that it's going to happen, but fans are excited.
Well, now here's the business. Okay, 20th Century Fox does not own X-Men or Fantastic Four. Marvel and Disney own the characters. Here's what Fox had. They controlled the film rights for those characters. And whatever film sort of ambitions they had to go through 20th Century Fox, right? They own the license for the film rights. Now Disney owns 20th Century Fox, so now they control all the rights for all those characters. So pretty much every family of characters is back at Disney Marvel except for Spider-Man, which is still at Sony, but they have a deal with Sony.
Now, to talk about some rumor mill stuff I've heard, again, it's only rumors, is they're saying there's rumor now that New Mutants might be dead.
Who?
New Mutants are saying that may not be happening anymore.
Well, the movie's done. They finished the movie.
But I thought it wasn't being released now. Am I wrong? That's what this is rumor.
As of now, there's no. The movie still has a release date, and so does Dark Phoenix.
Well, there's been rumor that might not get released now, and there's also rumor that.
I don't deal in rumors, Jay.
And there's also rumor now that Gambit might not happen. That
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I think Gambit could happen, but it'll happen like under Marvel and Disney's control, right?
Maybe.
As for Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, well, New Mutants has had a very troubled production.
It has.
Remains to be seen. I think they'll still release them. Maybe New Mutants, though, they won't release it in theaters. Maybe they'll release it on their streaming service next year instead.
That's a
Think about that. Dark Phoenix, I feel like they're going to have to release Dark Phoenix because of all the money they spent on it. You got to try and get some of it back.
But they're not going to get it back, I don't think. It sounds like it's going to be a bomb, and I don't think Disney wants to do bombs so they can avoid it, right? Unless they reshoot a bunch of stuff, which I guess they could. I don't know.
If you're Kevin Feige and you want to use the X-Men characters and reboot them anyway, maybe you don't want that movie getting released. Or I don't think you would want to use those actors. You would want to start from scratch, right? Like with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like now, Jay, let me ask you: did you ever think that Marvel, when they rebooted Spider-Man, that they would have used Andrew Garfield, or they would have just wanted to recast with their own guy? What do you think?
He was kind of an interesting choice, but at least for the first one, he was a good choice. Second one, not so much, but the first one.
No, after that.
Oh.
When they got back Spider-Man for the MCU.
Yeah, I saw that happening. It made sense.
Like, all right, so you would agree for the X-Men, they'd want to just restart from scratch and use all their own actors, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, the only one that they might bring back, because he said he'd come back if they did
probably
that.
Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
No, I was thinking Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman is like 50 now, though.
But he said that if they did an Avengers X-Men crossover, he'd come back.
Do you really want to see Hugh Jackman back when you can just start over from scratch? What's the point?
I think with Wolverine, if he wants to come back, bring him back. Because it's kind of...
Why? But why?
Because he's so good as Wolverine. That's why.
You can do better. I think you could do... He's 49 years old.
And remember this, too. A lot of the Avengers are older than that. A lot of the Avengers...
only Robert Downey Jr. Oh, and Mark Ruffalo.
They're all around that age, though. So...
Yeah, but a lot of those characters might be going away with Avengers 4.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
Ruffalo is 50. Robert Downey Jr., I want to say, is 53.
They're 54? All in their 40s, I thought. They're all in their 40s, I thought.
Downey is 53. Chris Evans.
Said maybe Tom Holland.
Chris Evans is 37. Chris Hemsworth is 34.
Okay.
Not all of them are in their 40s.
All right, but anyways, I think at least Hugh Jackman one movie fine. But
why? But what? You're gonna have him for one movie and then recast him? Why do that? That makes no sense. Why do that?
I think it
How do you explain it? How do you explain it then?
I just think I don't know. When it comes,
I don't deal in I don't knows, Jay.
Well, I'm trying to put into words here how I see it, because
all right. So how you see it is you want Hugh Jackman to come back. If he wants to come back for one more movie, then what? then how do you deal with Wolverine in future movies? His Wolverine is also his Wolverine is dead.
In
So
the
how are you gonna?
storyline, yes, but if you did it before Logan, he's not dead.
How is it before Logan?
Somehow, I don't know. They could have him
somehow.
they could have him come in Avengers 4 for God's sake.
That's convoluted. That's convoluted. Don't even do that. Just do you do it like with Spider-Man. You have your own actor. It's a new character. Just wipe the slate clean. Start fresh. Why would?
But here's the difference. We've had 3 Spider-Mans now. Okay, we've had 3 actors play.
Exactly. And look,
but
the MCU is not connected to any of those movies. Jay. Why do we want it? Why do we want to connect the MCU to the bad X-Men movies? Why do you want that?
Because not all. Look, the only bad X-Men movies, in my opinion,
X-Men 3.
No.
X-Men Origins.
No.
And an X-Men Apocalypse. All bad. All bad.
Just X-Men Apocalypse for me.
Boo. Boo.
X-Men Apocalypse was absolute trash.
Boo earns. Boo earns. Hiss boo. Hiss.
But I didn't have a problem with either Origin Wolverine movies. They were both great.
Baloney.
Whatever.
Baloney.
But I will say this though. I will say this. I'll rescind. X-Men 3 was pretty messy. I'll give you that.
Thank you. But look, why do you want so bad? Why the MCU films should not be connected to those films? It's dumb. We should not be connecting them. What?
They've been connecting the comics more than once, haven't they?
No, I mean that's the comics. The comics are totally separate. Why does that matter?
But doesn't the MCU try to follow the comics the best they can? Don't they try to do that?
Not really. Baron Zemo is nothing like Zemo in Civil War is nothing like he is in the comics at all.
Again, Zemo is still alive though, so Zemo could come back and be more like the comics, right? In some.
I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Well, it still could in Avengers 4, don't you think?
I mean, I could grow wheels and pedals and be a bicycle tomorrow. You know, I mean,
I'm just saying.
A lot of things could be like certain things, Jay. It doesn't.
Like, here's my opinion. My thing is,
okay,
trying to have anyone be Wolverine right now would be insanely huge shoes to fill. That's just the truth.
Well, I mean, isn't the same? That's the case for any one of these characters, don't you think?
Not necessarily, because we have some of these.
Tobey Maguire was very popular as Spider-Man.
But we have some of these characters though that in the comics have had different versions come out.
Why not bring back Tobey Maguire to play Spider-Man? Why not?
Well, here's a way they could do that would be if they did some kind of like live action, like
they'd have to do like multiverse and alternate realities, basically.
Yeah, but they could do that. But
I don't want to see that. Let's keep things simple. They're all set in the same reality, and then we have new actors playing the same like the characters. But I think we have to start fresh. Jay, it's time to rip. We're ripping the Band-Aid off, buddy. We're ripping off the Band-Aid.
Where we need to start fresh is we need to start fresh with definitely with X-Men, but I don't know about Wolverine, but the rest of X-Men,
yes, with Wolverine.
No.
And you want to know the only one you can keep is Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. That's the only one. And I'll tell you why. The reason why the Deadpool films aren't connected to the rest of the X-Men at all. Other than the X-Men that show, to the X-Men film.
But we saw all the X-Men in Deadpool too.
Yeah, but that was a joke. It was a joke. It was a gag. It was a gag. And they're on screen for like 1 second.
I'm just saying.
So what are you saying? What I'm saying is Deadpool can show up in the Avengers or whatever, and you don't even acknowledge that. Or Deadpool can acknowledge that, hey, didn't some different actors show up in my last movie? And then the Avengers will look at it and be like, what the hell are you talking about?
If I'm not wrong, I think Ryan Reynolds really wants to do a Wolverine movie or some kind of thing with Hugh Jackman anyway, right? I think he really
look, you gave Hugh Jackman the perfect send-off. He said he wanted to retire the role. Why go back on that?
Because he's also said if you do a movie with the Avengers, I'll do another one gladly.
He didn't know that's not what he said. I'll tell you what he said. He didn't say he would gladly do another one.
He said he'd come back if they did that.
No.
He said something like that.
Let's see. I'm just trying to find the full quote because I mean, look, through internet telephone, these quotes, Jay, they get manipulated and taken out of context.
Mm.
That's not what he said. But that's basically not what he said.
Okay. Well, anyways, I don't know.
All right, here's what he said. I have the quote. It's interesting because for the role for 17 years, I kept thinking that would be so great. Like I would love to see Iron Man and the Hulk and Wolverine together. Every time I saw an Avengers movie, I could just see Wolverine in the middle of all them, punching them on the head. But it was like, oh, well, that's not going to happen. And it was interesting just when I first saw that headline. It was just the possibility of it, and who knows what's going to happen. Obviously, I was like, hang on. But I think, unfortunately, the ship has sailed for me. But for someone else, I would like to see Wolverine in there.
Mm.
What do you have to say about that? That's straight from the horse's mouth.
I have to
What
say
do you
about
have to
that,
say?
he could easily go, you know what, change his mind if he gets enough money.
What do you? Why pay Hugh Jackman like $20 million to come back when you can just get a new actor who can probably do just as good, if not better, a job to play the new Wolverine?
Because fans like Hugh Jackman too much as Wolverine. That's why he is.
All right, but I mean, fans liked. All right, Jay. Fans like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. Did they not?
Yes, they did.
All right.
Although they didn't like him in Spider-Man 3, but that's not all his fault.
Spider-Man 3 still made a ton of money.
But a lot of fans didn't like him in it.
They liked Tobey Maguire. They just didn't like that movie.
Not when he got the symbiote became all emo. I know
all
a lot
right.
of people hated
now
that.
You're this is called semantics, okay?
I'm just saying that's what a lot of fans.
Did they like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 1 and 2 or not?
Yes, they did.
All right. So why not pay Tobey Maguire to come back to play Spider-Man again?
Because Tom Holland has done such a good job.
All right. So then why can't we get someone else to do a good job for Wolverine?
Because it's bigger shoes to fill. By the time Tom Holland came in, there had been two other actors before him, and one of them.
Spider-Man. Hold on here. Hold on.
Time out.
X-Men never did the money that Spider-Man did. How is that not bigger shoes? How is that bigger shoes to fill? Baloney. Baloney.
Time out. Time out now.
Baloney.
Time out. Didn't Days of Future Past and First Class do really well? Am I wrong? I thought they did really well. They made a lot of really good money, I thought.
First Class, no. Days of Future Past never. It didn't surpass Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, though.
But they both did really well financially, didn't they? That's why we got freaking Apocalypse, which was an atrocious mess.
Days of Future Past did okay, but let's see.
So I think with the exclusion of Logan, those were the two highest grossing X-Men movies in years, right?
233. 747 worldwide. There you go.
Okay.
So
and Logan might have made more than that, but
Logan did pretty well. Let me see.
Yeah.
Logan made 619. They both did well, but none of them did as big as any of the first three. The first three Spider-Man films are all surpassing that.
Well, I want to say 1 and 2 did better than 3. I want to say that.
Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest superhero films ever. Okay, so
I'm not saying it was.
I don't want. Look,
I'm just saying 3 was a mess.
Here's what I say. I love you, Hugh Jackman. Your time is over. We're moving on. We're moving on. We're keeping Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. He can stay. There you go.
Well, the thing is, we're going to see what happens with this deal. Because remember when Disney bought Marvel, it took a couple of years for any kind of changes to come along, and not really. I don't think any.
Right. They still have to get some approvals, like final voting tallies for 21st Century Fox and Disney. Special meetings are subject to certification.
Are you sure that's not 20th Century Fox?
21st. The parent company is 21st, basically.
I didn't know. I just always heard 20th, but
yeah, 20th is part of 21st. Okay. Like 21st is like the big, like parent
Okay, because even when
And
they
underneath
bought,
you have all the smaller
yeah,
companies.
even when they bought Lucasfilm, it took a few years. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys posted. This is what we'll do. We'll just have to keep posted on what comes up as it
All
comes
right,
up.
here's the other thing. The completion of the transaction, this is all official, by the way. The completion of the transaction will be subject to a number of non-U.S. merger and other regulatory reviews, as well as other customary closing conditions. Per the deal, 21st Century Fox shareholders now hold a 17 to 20% stake in the new parent company on a pro forma basis.
Now, here's a question. So, does this mean they're going to get like all the movie networks, TV channels,
They don't
everything
get.
going to happen?
No, they get some of them. They get the cables.
Okay.
So they get FX
FX.
and FXX,
Okay.
not Fox TV, not
Okay.
Fox Sports, and not Fox News.
Okay, that's interesting.
Basically, and here's why: because Disney already owns ABC, right?
Correct.
So the FCC and the federal government would not allow Disney to own both Fox Network and ABC.
Now they get all the Fox motion picture companies.
Yes, they get Fox Searchlight, they get 20th Century Fox, the studio, and I believe they also they get Fox's stake in Hulu, which is also big.
Nice.
Because Fox jointly owned Hulu 30%. Disney had their own 30%. So now Disney controls 60% of Hulu. That's a controlling interest.
I wonder if Disney's going to shut down Hulu for their streaming service. Do you think?
I don't think they. I mean, I think if for them to shut down Hulu, I believe they would have to probably buy out the other. Let's see, who else owns Hulu?
Watch Comcast.
Because Hulu is jointly owned by Fox, Comcast, and AT&T.
I called that.
So Disney. So I think for them to shut down Hulu, they would have to buy out Comcast and AT&T to do that. I believe.
Why not just AT&T?
Huh?
Why not just AT&T?
Because AT&T only has 10%. Comcast has 30%. So that's. Do they have control? Like they have, I guess, a controlling interest, but they don't have the whole thing.
It just sounds like they'd want to do that because they don't want competition with their streaming service, right?
I guess. Well, the streaming service would work differently than Hulu, you know. So I don't.
But isn't Hulu a streaming service? Am I wrong?
Hulu is a streaming.
It's
ad supported. It's ad supported.
But they still do their like own programming and shows and
they
things.
Do, like but like a Disney service would be totally sub based. Okay. Hulu isn't entirely subscription based. Like you can go on to Hulu. You can go on to Hulu right now and watch free programming, right?
Yeah,
you can still do that. A Disney subscription service would not work like that. Okay. So there you go.
So it sounds like to me like we're just gonna have to keep.
We're gonna have to keep an eye on this. Yeah.
Yeah, and other than that, I don't know if there's much else. Is there?
I mean, I guess it's gonna be a while before we start seeing new X-Men and Fantastic Four movies.
But take their time. I mean, especially with
I don't know what they're gonna do.
2004 has been screwed up twice?
Yeah.
Because I heard Silver Surfer was atrocious, and then I heard the last one was even more atrocious. So
yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen to Dark Phoenix and New Mutants. Now, here's my 2 cents. If it was me, I would toss those films in the trash.
I would too.
Now, so let me put it to you. So if it was your decision, you're Disney and you just bought back the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four. You're the head of Disney. What do you want to, Jay? What do you want to do with X-Men and Dark Phoenix?
I would probably give New Mutants a chance, but I think Dark Phoenix I'd throw in the garbage.
So you would keep New Mutants?
I might give it a chance because
why?
Because it's one of those things where remember they've done.
Is it because of Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones?
No, it's because they've taken risks with X-Men before, with Legion, with what is it, the Runaways?
Yeah.
With
no, that's not X-Men.
The Runaways isn't X-Men?
The Gifted.
That's what I meant. So they have Legion, The Gifted. They've taken risks with those shows, but they are very popular shows.
All right.
So looking at a different kind of X-Men chapter for a movie that might not be bad, and the fact they pushed it back to fine tune it is a good thing.
Okay.
Where Dark Phoenix just sounds like it's going to be as atrocious as Apocalypse, if not worse. And we don't need another one of that. X-Men doesn't need another one of that. It doesn't need it.
Okay.
Not going to help them in any way, shape, or form.
All right. So now, I mean, now obviously, I have conflicted feelings about Disney getting to own all these companies. However, I am happy about Marvel Studios controlling the film rights to all their characters now. That's the good thing to come out of this.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, as far as other character film rights, we got this bad feedback sound. Just weird. All right, sorry about that. Maybe that's not my, hold on.
So what were you going to say?
Okay. I believe Incredible Hulk. Apparently, Universal still controls some Incredible Hulk film rights. Sony still controls Spider-Man, but Disney and Sony are working together on that. Unfortunately, that we have that Venom movie, which is. What do you think of the latest Venom trailer?
You know what? It's
Do you
one of
want to
those
see
things
it?
where no, I'm not in a rush.
Do you think it's bad that they're making like these Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man?
I just think the problem is it looks like what's going to happen with that movie is going to make the choice again of a weak villain or an unknown villain, which I don't think is a good idea to do for a first movie. You know, like the Green Goblin, the first.
It doesn't look like Carnage. It doesn't look like Carnage is in Venom. You
know?
know?
Because I can remember with the first Venom movie, you know who Green Goblin is. Green Goblin is a well-known character. Heck, you know, in
Dr. Octopus.
In the Avengers, even though you don't necessarily know who the Chitauri are, you know who Loki is. You're familiar with Loki. You've seen so doing characters that aren't as strong or as well known is a bad idea. It just is.
Because I think you think maybe they would do Carnage, but it doesn't look like Carnage is going to be in it.
It would make more sense and be a better idea because Carnage is one of those things where Venom had to pretty much go, Spider-Man, I need your help because I can't stop Carnage on my own because Carnage is connected to a homicidal maniac.
Right.
You know, so like
that would be. Wouldn't you want to see that in a Spider-Man movie though?
Well, but here's the thing though. They could start it off with like, you know, where, you know, because we see in the trailer there's more than just one symbiote. It's just not, you know, Venom symbiote. There's other symbiotes.
Right, but it doesn't look like Carnage is one of them.
But I'm saying, like, you know, they could have had where, like, you know, Carnage shows up and they could have segued to, like, at the end, like, where, like, Venom realizes, hey, I've gotten the hang of my symbiote now, but now there's someone else.
They could still do that. We haven't seen the movie.
Well, I hope the hell they do that because if they don't, they're setting themselves up for failure. It's just the truth. Oh, here's another weird thing in news, too. Did you hear this?
What?
Supposedly Mowgli, Netflix picked that up now.
Oh yeah, that's not supposed. That's definite.
Which is crazy because that's not going to theaters anymore. So I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, the good thing is that when it's not released in theaters, you don't have to worry about box office.
Yeah.
So that's. I also heard that Netflix wants to start releasing more films in theaters as well, though. So basically they did to Mowgli what they did to Death Note. Did you ever watch Death Note?
I did actually, yes.
So this is the one Andy Serkis directed for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of cold on Warner Brothers' part. Like, what do you think happened there?
I don't know. It's. I remember when I heard about it, you're almost like, wait, really? You're almost like in like disbelief, like. Because like, I remember
Here, let me ask you a question. Did Warner Brothers think they couldn't do the movie after Disney was so successful with The Jungle Book?
It wouldn't surprise me if that went through their heads. That wouldn't surprise me. Because I'll say this. Because the news came out for this movie that was being made either around the time or before Jon Favreau's got released. And you're like,
I remember they were kind of happening at the same time, as I recall.
And it was weird because it was like, didn't we just get one? And then it got announced that Jon Favreau was doing a sequel to this, or at least Disney's doing a sequel to this. So and when I saw the trailer, I'm like, it doesn't look bad, but it definitely doesn't blow me away as much as Favreau's did. That's just the facts. So I think this is a safer bet to have Netflix just pick it up than to release it in theaters because it probably wouldn't have done as well as they would have hoped it would have. That's just the truth, I think.
Also, the actors for the main cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy films have on social media they voiced their support for writer director James Gunn. Do you think Disney
what
will
I've
Disney
heard,
listen?
yeah,
Will Disney reinstate James Gunn?
I don't think so.
What have you heard?
I've just heard a number of different rumors where Disney doesn't want to do it because they just don't want to do it.
I saw that on Variety. Yeah.
So even though the whole cast and crew is like, we like him, bring him back, please, we're begging you, Disney's going, no, pretty much.
Do you think if they threaten to quit, Disney will blink?
Maybe, but I don't know if they would do that. That was the thing.
You want to know what Dave Bautista Drax wrote on Twitter today?
What do you write on Twitter today?
I will do what I'm legally obligated to do, but Guardians without James Gunn is not what I signed up for. Guardians of the Galaxy without James Gunn just isn't Guardians of the Galaxy. It's also pretty nauseating to work for someone who'd empower a smear campaign by fascists, not cyber Nazis. That's just how I feel.
Interesting.
Is that a bad move by Bautista?
I don't know. I think it's just because he's not really bashing anybody per se. He's just saying his
bashing his employers.
That's just saying his opinion, though. He's not really pointing anybody out personally, right?
Yeah, but he's saying it's nauseating to work for Disney.
I think he's just kind of bummed that Disney made that choice, right?
I mean, let me ask you, is he biting the hand that feeds him?
It doesn't sound like it to me. No.
Okay.
So I think we should.
Are they gonna fire Bautista too over this? You think?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I would hope not.
I don't think Bautista's going to get fired over that.
Do you think with the way the cast and crew have supported James Gunn, maybe they should think about Should they think about reinstating James Gunn? In your opinion,
they should, but I don't know if they will. That's the thing.
They should. You think they should?
It's one of those things where it's kind of hard to imagine anyone else doing it. But then again, the rumor I heard of the guy who did Ragnarok doing it, I wouldn't mind that either. So that's
not a rumor. That's just speculation.
Well, speculation, I mean. But the point is, like, I'm not against that speculation either. So it sounds to me like, yeah, it'd be nice to have James Gunn do it, but there are other people who could probably do a good job to it.
I agree with that. I mean, the whole thing it's rough, undeniably.
Yeah. I think it is.
I don't know what the solution is here, though. You know, because I want the actors to be happy, and
I would think Disney and Marvel would try to put something out where fans will get what they want because they've done really well 1 and 2.
I mean, a lot of fans have supported James Gunn through this, don't you think?
I think I've seen some of that. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some of it the other way too, but I've seen quite a bit of fan support for James Gunn. Luke Cage, Mike Coulter, he came out in support of James Gunn as well.
Wow.
So, a lot of people at Marvel are supporting James Gunn. Does that surprise you?
It's a little interesting, but you know what? I think this is going to be another thing where we'll just have to see how it plays out, right? I think it's how it's going to go, right?
My feeling is I don't think Disney, even if they should, I don't think they will go back on their decision.
I don't think so either, because even though, they're doing the Connors now, they're making it very clear that Roseanne is going to be no part of it. So I think it's going to be a similar thing.
Is this really the same thing as what happened with Roseanne, though?
No. It's not the same thing. No. But it's similar in the sense where when they make a decision, they don't want to backpedal on that decision. I think that's the only similarity there. Is what I mean.
Maybe you didn't. But was firing Roseanne in your opinion, was firing Roseanne the right decision at the time?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. It was a little bit more peculiar.
See, Roseanne was fired for making very recent, like what she did, she had just done, right?
And I know that. We've talked about this before. I know about that. It's a little bit weirder how they did it with James Gunn. I agree. But
some of those tweets were just so extreme, though, you know?
For James Gunn?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was the problem. This was another example of even years in the past, if you're not famous, or not really, well known, then you still kind of have to be careful what you put online, because even if you
I
mean it as a
agree,
joke, people
but
may not take it that way. So that's kind of what this is. Another
everyone needs to be careful on social media, you know?
yeah, and this is another example of that, because I don't think Disney is gonna go, hey,
Okay.
we made a mistake. I don't think so. I think, I'm sorry, we made this choice and we have to stick with it, right? I think that's
All
what.
right. All right. I think we can wind things down, Jay. Any other final thoughts or things you want to
The
share?
only other really thing is be watching next week. We will be talking about the Meg, which Jeff is a
Very
must.
excited.
You
I'm
are,
very
me,
excited.
we'll freaking see. And we also can talk then about the
I
embargo.
think this is my most anticipated movie of the summer. We're going to end it with a bang.
And then embargoes be listed for the next season of Voltron and Legend of Defender, which we will talk about because I've watched it all. My review actually goes live tomorrow. So if you're excited what I thought about Voltron season 7, you can find out tomorrow on the Good
Okay.
Men Project in the Arts and Entertainment
Yeah.
section. And Tuesday, the embargo gets lifted for Disenchantment, the new Matt Groening Netflix show, which again, that goes live on Tuesday for me. So you can check that out too. We'll be talking about both of those next episode, absolutely. And I think that's all we'll be talking about
For me, check out my interview with Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Superstar Sean Schemmel on 411 Mania. I interviewed him at Comic-Con, and my interviews with the cast and crew of Iron Fist will be going up soon. And Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles star Eric Bauza.
Yeah, mine's up online for that, and on all my interview for that is up on the Good Men Project and Arts and my YouTube, and also I uploaded recently all my interviews for Death of Superman, which goes live on Tuesday, and again my review of that is up too. So yeah, so you can see my interviews with Jerry O'Connell, Rebecca Romaine, Jason Amara, Chris Gorham, Sam Liu, all those.
Very
people.
nice.
So yeah, that's on my YouTube, Movie Seeker 23, and I posted some of them on my Facebook. So yeah, you can see all that.
Meanwhile, we are Hollywood Purgatory. We are the entertainment podcast where the entertainment industry comes to get judged. Check us out on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. I'm Jeffrey Harris. He is Jay Snook, and have a good evening.
Yes.